So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has been out for a few months now, and I've been thoroughly enjoying the game. After almost 150 hours, I'm still chipping away at the game. You know, I've got a few last side quests to finish up, and I've actually been having a blast getting through all of these Queen's Blood challenges. It's actually pretty impressive just how stuffed Rebirth is. But for some players, all this extra content is being looked at as a negative. The game feels too long, or there's too much fluff. Stuff like that I've been kind of reading online. Now, outside of seeing a lot of complaints about the understandably controversial ending, I've got to say, I think, yeah, that's the most common issue that I've been seeing from reviews and videos and stuff like that. So, first off, I can't believe we're taking an open-world Square Enix game and arguing that there's too much to do in it. Were these guys around to experience Final Fantasy 15? That was Square Enix's last attempt at an open-world Final Fantasy game, and the number one complaint everybody had with that was that 15's world felt empty and boring, with nothing to really do. And it was kind of true. There really wasn't much going on. And I'll point out, too, that when Rebirth came out, I remember hearing a lot of people complaining about the linearity of Midgar, and the side quests in Remake were kind of not good. So I think what we see with Rebirth is a direct response to the fans' reception of these previous Final Fantasy games. So what gives? Is there no winning with these upset fans? Now, before I play devil's advocate here, one more point is that minigames and card games, these are things that have been noticeably removed from modern Final Fantasy, and people have been screaming about that for years now. So again, what we have with Rebirth, it seems to me like Square Enix actually kind of delivering what their fans have been asking for. But yeah, back to my main point here. Is it too long? No, it's not. The game lets you approach the side content however you want. If you want to fully clear out a region before moving on, well, that's a decision that you chose to make. And if you feel like you have to grind out every minigame to completion, even though you're not enjoying it, well, that's a decision that you're kind of making. The game is designed in a way that even just navigating through the open world sections, I mean, it can be as thorough as you'd like, or it can be as straightforward as you want. But we won't really talk about Gungaga. Outside of Gungaga, that is, the main destinations are usually pretty simple to get to. And if you don't like the mini games, you can literally skip through almost all of them. Going through the first, 40-ish hours of the main story here, the first one is the dolphin ride to Junon. Well, actually, I guess the first one might be catching chocobos, depending on how you look at that. So, first one, you gotta catch some chocobos in Calm, and then, you gotta ride your dolphin up to Junon. That is unskippable, but it only takes about probably 2 or 3 minutes, right? Next up, you've got the parade in Junon. And this one does take a while if you want to try to hit the over 100,000 approval rating or whatever it is to appease the president. But if you're trying to high score it, then you probably are enjoying it. And even then, if you want to just kind of rush through the Junon section, you can just kind of gather up a quick couple troops and move on. Plus, this section of the game is just kind of awesome anyway. But I don't really see a whole lot of people complaining about the Junon section. I do want to point out that it is not, you can't skip it. Next up would probably be the Queen's Blood tournament on the ship, right? And this section can be quite time consuming, as you've got, 4, maybe 5 Queen's Blood matches all in a row. And that could be annoying if you hate Queen's Blood, but guess what? If you do hate Queen's Blood, you can just forfeit right at the counter. So if you don't want to do it, there you go, move on. Next up is the section of the game that goes all out on the minigames, and that is, of course, the stretch of the game that goes from, the Costa del Sol to the Gold Saucer, and maybe just kind of the Corel region in general is kind of the minigame region. And I think it took me about 25 hours to reach this point, and granted, that was, doing some of the side quests and fighting you know, whatever I could find along the way. Because, you know, this is still an RPG. You can't just skip leveling up or you're not going to have very much success in some of these fights. But yeah, in that stretch, you do have to do some shooting. This shooting minigame with Barrett, that one kind of sucks. And you have this annoying card puzzle game. I don't really like that one too much either. But you don't really have to beat these or anything. You just play them once and move on. And I was surprised to see, I think you can entirely skip the Red 13 Stadium minigame with the weird balls, and you know what, that's a kind of a nice one to skip, I gotta say. Didn't love the controls in the Red 13 minigame. And then of course, once you make it to the Gold Saucer, then you'll have some more minigames that the game kind of forces your hand at. And that would be in like the first kind of date sequence that you have here. But really, that's over pretty quickly too. There's only a couple minigames that you really have to play through. If anything, the time-consuming part here is navigating through all the stupid staircases and going in the wrong direction and trying to figure out how to get to what station. After you do check out all the different stations and stuff with your little date. I don't know if the game specifically calls this section a date yet, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Then the game will lead up to the Corel prison area, and there is some more required minigames here. This part actually does force you to do some Queen's Blood, I think it was, and there's like a weird mystery, like a murder mystery you can help solve. You kind of got to do some weird stuff to find some greens for a healthier chocobo race, right? Admittedly, I didn't really love the Corel prison section. I think that's just because the vibes are all wrong. They kind of turned it into like a sleazy punk town. Not exactly the desolate desert prison that it was in the original. So I don't really like that part of it, but that's aside from the point. What I'm leading to here is, you know, you've got, yes, there are a handful of sections where the game is going to force you to do a little bit of side questing or a little bit of silly mini games, but it probably only adds up to a few hours in an otherwise packed story. While I haven't beaten my second no minigame file yet, I'm guessing my total runtime would probably be somewhere around 50 to 60 hours, which is really a lot of story, maybe about double that of what's in Remake. And of course, it all flows much better when you're not taking like 5 to 10 hour chunks out to go grind out some Chadley fights or fuck around chasing some Moogles. I will quickly add, seriously though, fuck the Mog House minigames. Those are genuinely awful. And they barely have any rewards for how punishing they are too. So I will definitely be skipping the Mog House stuff in any future playthroughs of Rebirth. But yeah, what do you guys think about all of this? What are you guys thinking here? Am I off base? Is Rebirth really just all fluff? I don't see it. I do think some people can get frustrated when it comes to, you know, getting those platinum trophies if the game is challenging at that. But I've never really been a completionist like that. So, you know, I'll definitely finish up my Queen's Blood stuff, finish up all the character side quests. But I don't think I'll be pulling out my hair, taking on these purposely frustrating VR missions. But I do love that they are there. You know, for people that do want these kind of crazy combat challenges. Not everyone's going to love stuff like that, but just the same as not everyone's going to love the chocobo racing. But I'm still glad chocobo racing is there, because I thought it was fun. And I think that's where Rebirth really got it right. You know, like there's a lot you can engage with, but you can do as much or as little of it as you want, and you probably come out having a good time, regardless of how you approach it. I think that's it. Okay, bye guys, see ya. No, actually, that's not it. There's one more thing I want to quick add, and that's that a lot of people get frustrated with Chadley, because obviously he's popping up to interrupt you very often, give you updates on his intel and stuff like that. But did you know that if you hit start, you can hit skip, and yeah, you can cut him off. So if you're really that frustrated with Chadley, you can skip him too. All right, that's it for real. Bye, guys.